Do you want to be a part of history here on Chicago Bears Now? Do you want to set a record? Because the most likes we've ever gotten on an episode on this channel is 3,558 on one of our Fire Matt Nagy specials. Listen, I get why you want to like the video when we're trying to fire Matt Nagy, but we could set records. We have more subscribers, more viewers now. Can we do it? Help us out. Like the video. Let's get 4,000 likes today. I believe in you guys. Could the Chicago Bears trade for Dak Prescott this offseason? Welcome into Bears Now by Chat Sports. I am Harrison Graham. Look, there's kind of a thought out there. This is not being reported in terms of Dak to the Bears specifically or even a Dak trade, but there is kind of a growing thought that, well, what if Jerry Jones blows it up? What if he fires Mike McCarthy? Maybe he gets wild and wants to trade Dak Prescott as well, who, regardless of his playoff successes or lack thereof, has been a pretty damn good quarterback for a while. Could the Bears kind of throw us a curveball and trade for a veteran quarterback of Dak's caliber? Now, you look at Prescott's cap hit for next year. If he stays with Dallas, it's currently at $59.5 million. So Dallas is kind of in this pickle where they probably just have to extend him to lower that cap hit because he already has 2 void years on his contract. Now, if the Bears or someone else were to trade for him, it's only $34 million. So for a quarterback of his caliber, that's actually not that big. And then he's a free agent next year. So obviously, if you were going to trade for him, you would extend him. That's pretty clear. But due to his current cap hit and even what a trade would cost Dallas in dead cap money, which is like $60 million if it's a pre-June 1st trade, it's like $25 million post-June 1. So I guess it could happen then, but I think this would have to happen prior to the NFL draft. That does make it very unlikely that Dallas trades him. And beyond that, if you're the Cowboys, if you trade him, your chances of having someone better right away next year in a win-now window isn't very high. But just kind of live in this reality for a minute. Dak Prescott had a career year this year. I get it flamed out against the Packers, which is not great, especially playing in the NFC North if this were to happen. But he completed almost 70% of his passes, 4,500 yards, 36 touchdowns against 9 interceptions, 106 passer rating. I mean, he was at or near the top of the league in pretty much every major quarterback statistical category this year. He was really, really good. He's an MVP candidate. He's not going to win it. It's going to be Lamar, but he was up there. Now, here is what would give me pause more than anything else. He has not been bad in the playoffs, although he was pretty bad the other day. But he definitely has not, outplayed what he does on normal Sundays. And now, look, historically, most quarterbacks have better numbers in the regular season than the playoffs. Why? Well, you're playing tougher competition. But obviously, if you're going to trade for a quarterback and not draft one number 1 overall or not keep Justin Fields, you want to be pretty damn confident that's a quarterback you can make a run to the Super Bowl with. I don't know if Dak can do that. I think he's very good. I think he's probably a top 10 guy in the NFL. But can he lead a team to the Super Bowl? I'm not sure. He's never gotten past the divisional round. I don't think it's impossible. I think if you brought him in here with DJ Moore, got another big-time weapon, and this defense continue to play well, I definitely think this is a high-level playoff team. But if the answer to the question is, if you're Ryan Poles, if you ask yourself, is can we win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott, if there's hesitation there, then it's tough to pull the trigger on that when you could just draft a quarterback. So here's the hypothetical trade. Dak Prescott to Chicago, number 9 overall pick and a first next year. There's no scenario where I would trade the number 1 pick for Dak Prescott. I'm not doing that. But number 9 and a first next year, 2 firsts, that's what it's going to cost for Prescott. And hey, one of them's a top 10 pick. So if you're Dallas, and you decide to move on, that's not bad. Would you accept this trade, Bears fans? Type A for accept, type D for decline. I'll expand on this after the YouTube ad break. Look, I've said it, I'll say it again. Dak Prescott's a very good quarterback. You can even argue he's an elite quarterback. He's not Patrick Mahomes elite, but he's very, very good. That being said, if the Bears do make the decision to move on from Justin Fields, I'd probably just swing on a quarterback in the NFL draft if I was Ryan Poles. Now, I'm not shut off to the idea of Dak Prescott because I think he gets a bit of a bad rep because he's playing in Dallas and the stakes are so high. I think if he's had the exact same career and he's playing in like Arizona, he's viewed very, very differently. But like Chicago, Dallas is very much under the spotlight, so all people look at is the Cowboys faltering in the playoffs. And look, that matters because obviously if you were to trade for Dak, you want to be able to live or win in the playoffs at a very, very high level. So I'd probably just draft a QB if I'm moving on from Fields, but I do think it's an interesting discussion nonetheless. Now coming up, Dane Brugler released a 2-round mock draft, his second mock draft this year. Obviously the Bears don't have a second-round pick right now, but they do have 2 picks, so we're going to dive into that. But before we do so, PrizePicks. Appreciate PrizePicks for sponsoring Chicago Bears now. It is daily fantasy made easy. NBA is well underway. College basketball is ramping up as well. I'm playing daily fantasy every single night, selecting more or less with my player entries with PrizePicks. I also have a divisional round 3-player entry, 20 to win $100 here. 3-player entries, you can win up to 5 times your money. I like Josh Allen to have a big day against Kansas City. I think the Chiefs could win that game, but Allen's going to put up some numbers. Give me the more on his passing yards. Dalton Schultz, I like the more against the Ravens as well. He's been really good with C.J. Stroud. And then Aaron Jones, I think he goes less. I think the Niners are going to really key in on him in the running game. So 20 to win 100 here. If you do a 6-player entry, you can win up to 25 times your money. And again, you can cross over sports. You can have an NFL player pick in there. You can have an NBA player pick in there. You can mix it up. You can keep it all within one game if you want to, whatever you're feeling. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. You just select more or less on tons of different statistical categories, and you cash in if you hit on those picks. So check the comments, check the description. It is PrizePicks.com/CLNS, and I'm feeling good about this one. So if you want to chase me this weekend, Allen, more passing yards, Schultz, more receiving yards, Jones, less rushing yards. Let's make some money together. Okay, Dane Brugler of The Athletic, if you're unfamiliar, I think he's one of, if not the best draft analysts in the game. He's really good. He's young. He's well-connected. He released it at 2-round mock draft. And he has Caleb Williams going number 1. No surprise. This has been the common theme in recent weeks. Considered the heavy favorite to be the first overall pick in this draft. And I think this was the interesting note that I took from this mock draft from Dane Brugler is that he put in there that NFL teams believe the Bears will trade Justin Fields. Now, he admitted in there, and we'll get to his quote in a second, that he doesn't know what Ryan Poles is going to do, but he is reporting some info that based on teams he's talked to, they do think that Fields will get traded. Now, here's what Brugler had to say in more detail. He said the Bears quarterback situation will be a hot topic as we wait for general manager Ryan Poles to reveal his cards. I don't know what he'll do, but I can tell you what other NFL teams believe he'll do. Trade Justin Fields and draft a quarterback at number 1 overall. Now, Ryan Poles said in the press conference last week that he doesn't expect a QB decision to come until April, at least publicly. You got to think behind the scenes they'll have a decision before then. And look, maybe even publicly it happens before then. Maybe we wake up on March 10th and they trade Justin. I don't know. Or they trade the number 1 pick. Who knows? But that's where his mindset is right now. Brugler continued, said Caleb Williams isn't a perfect prospect by any means, but he is the favorite for number 1 because of his playmaking instincts. He needs to be more consistent, but his poise and creativity are what make him special. And look, how many highlight reel tapes have we seen of Caleb Williams doing the improbable, right? Like, if you could build a college highlight tape, he and Patrick Mahomes in the last 10 years are the 2 guys you would build it around. Now, remember, playing quarterback at a high level in college or the NFL isn't just finding highlights and really good plays. It's the whole thing is, does this guy deliver the football on time? Is he accurate? Can he play within the flow of an offense? And I do think there are some things that Caleb Williams needs to get better at. You look at some pros and cons here. Let's start with the good stuff. The arm talent is off the charts. He can make all the throws, despite only being 6'1" or so. He's got an absolute rocket launcher, different arm angles. Like, you watch him sometime on these quick throws, it's kind of like Mahomes Stafford-esque, where he'll just do the sidearm flick. He'll throw it around defensive ends on these quick slants and screens and stuff. It's impressive, man. He can rip it. He can throw the ball vertically. He can do that all. The experience is 2.5 years of starting. Good experience there. Production's been off the charts. He won a Heisman Trophy, so that stuff speaks for itself. You guys saw the stats there. And he's an incredible creator in and out of the pocket. That's kind of what Brugler's talking about, where he can just keep plays alive with his eyes, with his feet, with his arm strength. It really is something impressive to watch. There's no doubt about it. Now, you look at some cons. He does hold the ball too long at times. That is what led to a lot of fumbles in college. Sometimes it's just better to play within the structure. And look, we've talked about this with Justin, right? Like, Sometimes just get the ball out and take the 4 yards and move on. Caleb at times holds the ball too long too. He does try to go into Superman mode too often. It's great to have that. Mahomes came in with that, and we said the same thing about him. And I'm not saying Williams is Mahomes. I think that it's just lazy, but like that is similar in the sense where at Texas Tech, Patrick Mahomes would go into full Superman mode and make unbelievable plays, but sometimes it would lead to bad interceptions, fumbles, etc. And at the NFL level, you can't do that all the time, although Mahomes has kind of defied that with how he's been able to do it as often as he has. But where he's become elite is how good he's in the pocket, too. That's where Williams can improve. And look, this third one is a legitimate thing. The numbers do dip against top 25 teams. Now, I will say this. Caleb Williams this year at USC, the talent around him actually isn't that great. His best receiver was Mario Williams. That player just transferred to Tulane. It's not like he had a Jordan Addison like he had the year before. It's not like his offensive line was all world. I don't think they're going to have an offensive lineman go in the first 2 days of the draft. So even though you think, UFC elite talent, this year, not really, man. Like, he was by far the best player on that offense. Their running back, Marshawn Lloyd, was pretty good, but beyond that, he did not have, a bunch of NFL players flying around. There's no doubt about it. Now, pick a quarterback. Who would you rather have? If it's Caleb Williams type CW, if it's Justin Fields type JF, I continue to see both sides of it. I'm not giving my final answer, my final conclusion until I see what the offensive coordinator, who that's going to be. So get your votes in CW for Williams, JF for Fields. Now, we did put a video out earlier today, just after lunchtime, if you want to go check that out. Mel Kiper Jr. speculated a Justin Fields trade. He talked about Caleb Williams. We also explored another offensive coordinator candidate that's been interviewed. Lots to tap into, so if you missed that, hit the subscribe button, go to the content tab, and go check out that video plus several other videos before that if you have missed any episodes. All right, let's also talk about Dallas Turner, who Brugler had going with the number 9 pick here. One of the top edge prospects, arguably the top one out of Alabama. And the reason he went edge here is the top 3 receivers, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Nabers, and Rome Odunze, all went top 8. So there is a scenario where Chicago picks at 9 and one of those 3 receivers isn't there. And if that's the case, you could see a guy like Dallas Turner end up being with the Chicago Bears. So that would not shock me whatsoever. I do like him a lot. He's an explosive athlete. He can stop the run, which we know Matt Eberflus values in his edge rushers. Here's what Dane Brugler had to say about him. He said, even with the in-season trade for Montez Sweat, Chicago will be in the market for another impact pass rusher. An ideal fit in Matt Eberflus' scheme. Turner is a freak athlete who rushes the passer, stops the run, and should continue to get better and better. 10 sacks this year, 14.5 tackles for loss. He plays bigger than his size. He's good, man. I do think that he's got the most upside out of any edge in this class. I like Leotu Latu, but the medical history concerns me. I could see Turner being the first edge off the board. And again, if the top 3 wide receivers are gone, edge makes sense based on the prospects in this draft and where you're at from a roster building perspective. Now, obviously, free agency could dictate that. If they go sign Danielle Hunter in free agency, they're probably not going to draft Dallas Turner, but the opposite could be true. If they go sign Mike Evans in free agency, they're probably not drafting a receiver in the first round. So, obviously, free agency comes first, but we haven't gotten there yet, which is why they're called mock drafts, not real drafts. All right, gradeless Dane Brugler mock for the Bears. Caleb Williams 1, Dallas Turner 9. I think in a scenario where you trade Justin Fields, it's a pretty good combo. I mean, ideally one of those receivers sits there at 9, but you could do a whole lot worse than Williams and Turner. A, B, C, D, or F. My name is Harrison Graham. We'll see you guys soon here on Chicago Bears Now.